Hey folks, hope you're doing good today. Now continuing on with our exclusive submissions, we've got a brand new band to the channel. I've never heard of these guys before, but their submission came through, but I actually didn't get an email from my website about this one, which has put the willies at me a bit because I really don't want to miss anyone who makes a priority submission. But anyway, these guys are from Australia. Now we've had quite a few Australian bands come through on the channel just recently, so hopefully my name's getting around Australia. That would be very cool because they've got a nice scene over there. What I associate with Australian metal is chunky guitars because you just find all of their bands are just heavy and chunky over there. That's what they like. Super nice. Now let's check out this band. This is a band called Obscurum and their track is called The Race. It's a lyric video they've got for us today. It's quite a long one. It's 6 minutes long. So let's check it out. I haven't listened to the track at all, so we're going to find out what it's all about together. Debut single. Nice raw snare drum. The rawness on the drums sounds great. And it's not the kind of music you'd necessarily get this rawness of drums in, but I like the sound of it. Nice mix up on the drums to bring in different energies throughout the riff. That sounded great. Breaking it down. These guys have got a nice metallic edge to their music. They're very metal. They've got that metalcore edge, but it's way more the metal edge. Cool.
to see how far I've come. So far it seems I can't see where I started, or who that young man was. I think that was me.
Vocalist is working his throat.
My failures and the demons I leave behind, like so many dreams of pieces.
Nice. This one's gone off in a different direction, but it sounds great. Nice. Cool one. Very cool. Well, that went off in a totally different direction that I wasn't expecting whatsoever, and I really like what they did with it. I actually think I prefer that outro section, or the second half of the track, more so than the metalcore side, because the metalcore stuff sounded great, don't get me wrong, had a good energy to it. I love what the drummer was doing with the drumming, but once they broke it down there and then brought in the acoustic guitar underneath, and then kind of swelled a bit more and had more of a kind of build up and crescendo vibe to the track rather than riffing out. Yeah, I thought that went up to the next level then, because there was more layers of sound in there. They were working with the chords nicely, had a good vibe to it and everything else. And then the solo sounded great over the top of that as well. Really, really nice. So yeah, it's cool that they broke out into that kind of stuff. I was thinking, are they going to go back to the metalcore stuff now? But no, that's how they ended out the track. So yeah, it was kind of a track in two halves in that way. But they did transition into it nicely as well. Very, very cool. Now, I thought this was an interesting track because the way it was mixed wasn't necessarily typical for the genre. The way it was composed wasn't typical for the genre either as well, because it was kind of metalcore-y and then kind of more metal-y as well, and progressive as well and stuff like that. Different edges coming in towards the second half of the track. Very, very cool. But yeah, I was thinking, man, this mix isn't typical what you'd expect from metalcore, because it was very raw in the drums. It did have that kind of debut album sound to it. I think their sound will get better over time and their mixes will get better. I don't know if they've gone to a studio or done this one themselves, but you know, there is room for improvement within that mix to get the guitars a bit more punchy and thick and chunky, which I think would have suited the music nicely. But I did like that it had that kind of raw, lo-fi-ish edge to it as well, because it's not typical for the genre. When you hear metalcore bands nowadays, almost every single metalcore band you listen to has got those real crisp, punchy drums with usually samples over the top, quantized to hell, and it's really lost all its rawness and naturalness. Now, it sounds good and punchy and it kicks you in the ears. Well, yes, it does that. But you know me, I love raw drums as well. And especially when you hear it in a genre that you don't normally hear that in anymore. So very, very cool. I would say to these guys, you know, there is room for improvement within their mix to get it sounding a bit more crisp and a bit more loud and punchy. But I would say don't go overboard with that and still try and keep that rawness in your music, because it is a nice edge and it's a different edge for modern metalcore bands. I thought it sounded great in that respect. And I thought it went well as well because these guys were kind of semi-metalcore, but it wasn't metalcore, it was metalcore. And what I mean by that is it had a lot of kind of heavy metal vibes, the guitar solo in there, and the way the chords were structured and the riffiness of it just had that kind of heavy metal, kind of medieval triumphant vibe to it as well, which I thought sounded great. So yeah, these guys were kind of interested in how they'd kind of eked themselves out within the genre, within the sound and their mix, and how they moved through with the track as well. It was all a bit kind of not what you'd expect from the genre. I really enjoy that though. I think these guys will get better over time, so keep sending in your music. This is their debut record and their debut single, and you know, when it is your debut, unless you've paid someone stupid mega bucks to make you sound super professional, there's always going to be scope for improvement, particularly, you know, always within the mix, because bands, it just happens that over time you dial in your sound more. You know what you want from the mix, and you can, if you're working with an engineer, you can kind of push them in those directions a lot more to get the custom sound that you want. And I think that's what's going to happen to these guys, because I think these guys are a bit different, a bit out of the ordinary, and just need a bit more time to polish and perfect their sound. And I think maybe this time next year, when they send in a track for us to listen to, we'll be going, yeah, these guys have come a long way with their sound. Very, very cool. Nice to get on board with a debut single, and you know, the track's called The Race. Well, they're just out the gates with this one, but I'm very happy to get on board with this band, because I do see the potential in this band. I think they're very good already, but could be very, very good if they just polish some of their edges. Very, very nice, guys. Thanks for the submission. Thanks for getting on board with the channel with your first release, and please keep sending them in. I'll be happy to check this out and see you evolve, and hear that sound get polished and dialed in. Very, very cool. Hope you're having a good one today, guys. It's Friday already. It's somehow September already as well. This year is absolutely flying by for me. Now, if you want to get your band on the channel, if you're in Australia, or you just happen to be watching the channel from wherever you are, and you think, yeah, we're about to put out our debut single as well, it'd be cool to get on board with this channel, and let them check out our music and kind of grow with the channel, because we're still growing over here as well. That would be super dope. So head over to this website. All the links are in the description, and we'll get your band on the channel as well, because I do want to check out, you know, we've had some masterpiece bands on just recently, with music that really couldn't get any better, and all you can just do is sit back and enjoy it. But I really do like checking out bands that have still kind of got you know, a ways to go before they've perfected all what they're doing and their sound and all the rest of it, and get on board with those bands, and they get on board with the channel, and we can grow together, and we'll keep, you know, supporting you and checking out your stuff and talking about your music and talking about how it's got better, and you know, keep sending in the videos for us to do it. That would be super dope. So there you go. If you're in a band that just like that, send over your stuff. We'll check it out and talk about it and get on board with your band. Anyway, that's going to be it for today, guys. We'll see you over the weekend for some more cool bands, but that's going to be it for today. We'll see you. Bye.